We're going to be going through talents, rotation, pre-Bis gear, and even more accessible gear, and of course the best in slot gear you're going to want to be getting as a warrior in Phase 1 of the new 2024 Anniversary Classic Realms. Let's start off with the talents. Hello, I am Javier and I do everything World of Warcraft. Starting off with the talents, we are mostly going into the Fury tree, but I would say it's a good mix between Arms and Fury. The main thing we're really going for here is dual wield specialization. The kind of one-handed weapon you are looking for is going to be the highest damage per second one-handed weapons you can find. Ideally, you'd get some hit chance on your gear as well if you can. However, that is going to be more so in the later phases. But I think it's important to know now, just so you could kind of prepare yourself. So enough yapping, let's get into it. 5 out of 5 points into Cruelty, increasing your chance to get a critical strike with melee weapons, and then straight down into Unbridled Wrath, giving you a chance to generate additional rage when dealing damage with your weapon. 5 out of 5 into Improved Battle Shout, increasing the attack power we get from it. And then, now it's where it gets exciting, is this fourth row. 5 out of 5 into Dual Wield Specialization, massively increasing the damage done by our offhand weapon by a whopping 25%. We're actually going to fill out this row with 2 out of 2 into Improved Execute, reducing the rage of Execute, so it's cheaper to cast, and 5 out of 5 into Enrage, giving us a 25% melee damage bonus for 12 seconds, up to a maximum of 12 swings after being the victim of a critical strike. Now, if you are new to Warrior and you're not sure about this, and you're thinking, hang on, we're not tanking here, we are getting this to really go into Flurry, increasing your attack speed by 30% when you deal a critical strike, and that's going to be for 3 swings. We're putting 1 into Death Wish, which is a new cooldown we're getting. When activated, increases your physical damage and makes you immune to fear, but also lowers your armor and resistances. So that's 30 seconds where we can increase our physical damage by 20%. And lastly, Bloodthirst. Only on a 6-second cooldown here, we instantly attack the target, causing damage equal to 45% of our attack power. In addition, the next 5 successful melee attacks will restore some health as well. Then, going into the Arms tree, we're putting 3 out of 3 into Rend, increasing the bleed damage done by it. 3 out of 3 into Improved Heroic Strike, reducing the cost of that ability. 5 out of 5 in a Tactical Mastery, where we retain up to 25% of our rage points when we change stances, enabling us to stance a bit. 1 out of 1 into Anger Management, increasing the time required for your rage to decay while out of combat. Meaning if we come out of combat, we then have an extra 30% of time left before our rage actually starts going down. So we can use that between mobs in dungeons and things like that. And then we have, lastly, Deep Wounds for 3 points. Your critical strikes cause the opponent to bleed, dealing 60% of our melee damage as average damage over 12 seconds. And 2 out of 2 into Impale, increasing again the critical strike damage bonus of our abilities in Battle Defensive and Berserker stance, which is all of our stances there. And that brings us to level 60. This is the highest DPS build in the entire game, by the way. You may see a lot of guilds stacking warriors in Molten Core. You can, if you really want, go for a 2-handed build. What we're going to be swapping out here is, of course, 5 points in dual wield specialization. And I would probably say 4 points in Improved Battle Shout. Putting them into Improved Slam. Putting that up to 4. Decreases the casting time of that. And 3 into Cleave. Taking out another 4. Improved Battle Shout. I'm trying to wiggle this around for it to let me. I put 1 into Piercing Howl as well. There we go. So you'd look like this in the Fury tree, if I've done this right. Yeah, this is what I want. Where you're basically taking out points in... Oh, no, we want Bloodthirst, sorry. You want to take out points in dual wield specialization, put 4 into Improved Slam, put 3 into Improved Cleave, and take out 4 points in Improved Battle Shout. I'd also take 1 out in Improved Heroic Strike. And I'd put 1 into Improved Overpower and your last 3 points into two-hand weapon specialization as well. So if you are going with a two-handed weapon, this is what I would say the recommended build would be. But this isn't the recommended build, if that makes sense. I would actually advise you go with the dual wield build here, which again looks like this. Okay, so this is the recommended dual wield build, and again, you're going for the highest DPS one-handed weapons there. The other thing I want to say here as well, if you do have like the absolute BiS dual wielding gear, that is when it is going to be, you know, better, etc. However, because you only need to get one item for two-hander, especially early on in Classic, it can be actually better and easier to gear for the two-handed build. So what I would say is just see where you are on the BiS list, on the gear list, try out maybe both builds and just see how you go and which one performs better for you. So how does that all come together then into an actual rotation? This here is generally what I would recommend. Number one, activate your Blood Rage to generate some extra rage, but only do this if you are in a healthy position. Blood Rage generates rage at the cost of health then, and it's going to generate an additional rage over 10 seconds. It is on a 1 minute cooldown, and you are considered in combat whenever you do use this, and it is 20% of your health. So again, only use this when you can at a healthy point. And one thing I have actually forgotten to put on here, I just realised, is that if you can, do use charge to go into battle. Charging an enemy, it's on a 15-second cooldown. You can generate 9 rage and stun them for a second. You cannot, however, use it in combat, hence why we're using this to go into combat and generate a little bit of rage at the start. Due to our tactical mastery talent, if we've taken it, you can actually also retain 25 of your rage when we change stances as well. And we could actually have some of this rage left over, so we can get even more rage by charging in. Okay, anyway, back to the list. Of course, we're going to be using Battle Shout if it is missing. This is actually going to increase melee attack power of all party members within 20 yards by 15, and that will last 2 minutes. So make sure to keep that up at all times. And don't forget, you can also use your Demoralizing Shout and Thunderclap on enemies if they're not debuffed by them. Demoralizing Shout reduces your enemy's attack power, and Thunderclap increases the time between their attacks, and will do a little bit of damage to them as well. And it can also actually affect up to 4 targets. So that's really just helping out more our tanks and our healers, etc., and just getting that boss down quicker. And so will Sunder Armor. This is actually going to reduce it by, at rank 1, I think it's like 90 per Sunder Armor, and it's going to cause a high amount of threat, but we can apply it up to 5 individual times. Oh, you can see I've got my WoW open there. I think I've just pulled something. Oh, but as usual, someone has taken my mob anyway. If the enemy is at 20% health or lower, you can use your Execute, causing 125 damage and converting each extra point of rage into 3 additional damage. Bloodthirst is then going to be your main attack, and we can also use Slam after we do an auto attack, but only really if we are playing in that two-handed Slam spec that I showed you earlier on. Whirlwind is then going to be your secondary, and then after that we can actually spam Sunder Armor to reduce our enemy's effective health, but we only want to use this if it's not already fully stacked or it's going to drop off soon, so make sure we're reapplying it. We can otherwise use Hamstring, which is going to help us get extra chances at flurry procs and other similar hit effects that we are going to be using. This is going to be especially powerful if we are Horde with a Wind Fury totem up, but it is worth doing so even if you don't. But if you do have a Wind Fury totem up, oh my goodness, it is even better. Lastly, we do want to queue our Heroic Strike if it is if the extra threat isn't going to be an issue. Do be careful. We can generate a lot of threat in this spec, especially with the high amount of damage we're doing. If not, and that is going to be an issue, use Cleave instead, even if it is for single target. If you have got excess rage and you can't use the remainder of your rotation, keep in mind that Heroic Strike and Cleave will actually replace your next auto attack, which won't grant you any rage at all. So the actual rage cost of these abilities is higher than you can see in their tooltip. I'm just going to re-explain that in case it sounds confusing. Cleave and Heroic Strike are actually going to attack instead of your next auto attack. Your auto attack would have generated rage. These abilities will not generate rage. So on top of the ability cost of the rage we're using, to use the ability, you also have to factor in the amount of rage that you haven't generated by using these. So it is actually quite expensive. That's pretty much it that you can see here for the single target rotation. If you are looking for a multi-target rotation, then if there's say 2 or 3, just use Cleave absolutely at all times instead of Heroic Strike, and then prioritize using Whirlwind over Bloodlust if there's multiple mobs as well. But that is really the only changes we are going to be doing. Oh, one thing I haven't put in here is our cooldowns. So we have Death Wish, which I showed you in the talents. This is where we're increasing our physical damage by 20%. When to use this? Well, of course, as much as possible. It is going to be on a 3-minute cooldown. Ideally, you would put this in your execute phase, which is literally, as a warrior, our execute ability. You want to activate it when we think the boss has about 30 seconds left to live for maximum benefit. And during that, you may want to save it for a hard phase or where we're dealing massive AoE damage to extra targets that only show up later in the fight. Potentially, the one that comes to mind is Onyxia, for example, potentially. And if the fight is long enough, you can, of course, use this twice. But you're the only one that's going to really know how many times you're going to be able to use it in a fight, if it's once or twice, depending on how long the fights you're in are lasting. Another one you can use alongside it on a 30-minute cooldown is Recklessness, where you will cause critical hits with most attacks and be immune to fear, etc. Of course, use that along with Death Wish and during your execute phase. For WoW's Anniversary Classic servers, I'm partnering up with Zygor Guides to bring you the fastest leveling experience you can get. Whether you're farming, questing, or gearing up in WoW Classic, we all know it can be a massive grind, but it doesn't actually have to be. With Zygor, whether you're exploring new areas, doing dungeons, leveling, or just farming mobs, they have got you covered for the fastest ways possible, making your life also as easy as possible in WoW Classic. Zygor can overlay maps for zones you haven't even discovered yet, adding waypoints and routes so that you know how to get around the map even easier. It could also help with gearing, whether it's which quest reward to pick, or if an item in your inventory is actually an upgrade or not. Zygor can also alleviate the stress of weighing out stats and options at every single step. And the same can also be said for talents. It can actually guide you in picking your talents at every single level, so that you can work smarter and not harder. Some of my favourite features, for example, are when farming mobs and doing quests, it can actually show you different locations, so that if a specific zone is full of bots or other players, you don't have to worry, you can go somewhere else. You could also skip parts you don't want to do, coming back and into the guides at ease for the fastest leveling experience. Use my code in the description with the link Javier for 20% off. Now we're going to go into gear. I'm starting off here with the Pre-Bis Gear for Molten Core. I have put together basically like a point system for this, and you can get all of my gear setups over on Patreon. There is a link down below in the description for that. If you would like to get my gear setups, etc., and my points. My point attributions, where you can basically see the different items that I have chosen and the lists of them, etc., according to my setup. So, number one, starting on the head, we're going with the Fury Visor. Don't be fooled by the Lionheart Helm. We can't get this in Phase 1. There is a quest called Voodoo Feathers you can do as a warrior, and that gets us the Fury Visor. I don't think there's much point going through all of the stats, etc. on all of these. It might be a bit tedious, but you can see where you get these items and the best ones we're going to be getting, and this does give you a 1% hit chance as well. If not, you're really just going to be going to Blackrock Depths, and you're going to be going to Stratholme for a lot of your items. If you actually don't know, what I would advise is to get this mod here in game, Atlas Loot. You can go Dungeons and Raids up here, and it's just got all of the dungeons for Classic up here. And you could just go on Scholomance, Stratholme, etc. and just see which bosses drop what and see which items are really good for you, for example. On the shoulders, it's the Mark of Fordring. It's from the In Dreams quest in Western Plaguelands, otherwise Blackrock Depths. True Strike shoulders on your shoulders. You get these from Pyroguard Embassies, so it's a drop, and I think these are no, they're not BOE, they're BOP. But still, otherwise, again, you do get the choice on the Voodoo Feathers quest, so up to you, depending on what is going to be best for you. Cape of the Black Baron from Baron Rivendare in Stratholme is going to be your back item. You can put +3 agility on here. You can put +4 all stats, 8 on the head, by the way. These are the enchants that you can put that you see here on your gear. The Cadaverous Armor is from Scholarments. It's only a 2% drop chance. It is a BOP as well. It's leather, but the attack power on there is amazing. Gorosh the Devrish, except you get the Gladiator gear. The Gladiator gear, I've actually seen one of my guildies already get this chain chest. So it does drop. We all couldn't believe it when he got it. It's from Gorosh the Dervish in Blackrock Depths with a really low chance, but absolutely phenomenal chest piece there. Battleborn arm braces on the wrists, Warchief Rend Blackham from Blackrock Spire. The best weapon you're going to get is going to be, if I untick two-hand, Ebon Hand. This is from, it's a BOE, so very, probably low chance you might be getting this if you are watching this video. Blackrock Spire Upper from Warchief Rend Blackhand is the first actual, like, kind of dungeon boss one we have here. Dalren's Sacred Charge. That is the best one we're going to get in terms of damage per second, which is really what we're looking for on the weapon at the Pre-Bis level before we go into Molten Core. Another one you could get, again, very, very difficult, very low chance, is going to be Iron Foe or Fell Striker, etc. If you are going for the two-handed build, it's actually Baron Rivendare. There's the Rune Blade of Baron Rivendare, which is, again, a very low chance. Black Blade of Shahram from General Drakasaf. And the one that you're, again, likely going to get then is the Slave Driver's Cane from Ramstein, the Gorger there in also Stratholme, and the Warblade of Car Darrow. So a few from Stratholme and Scholarments there, but that's on the two-handed build. On the hands, it's the Chromatic Gauntlets. In fact, did I check these? Yes, they are from Blackrock Depths. I was just checking that we can get these in Phase 1 because, you know, I have to be careful. Or again, there's a few items in Scholarments and Stratholme. Pretty much the same. Blackrock Upper Spire for the belt. Blackrock Spire Lower as well. And Blackrock Depths and Blackrock Spire and Spire. So really good for your belt item. Bloodmail Boots on the booties. 2% chance in Scholarments for these ones to drop. I guess, again, if you're just trying to farm these from dungeon bosses, the best you're going to get is the Wind Reaver Greaves from Scholarments. Catonos the Herald. Now going on to rings, etc. Princess Faradris in Moradine. That's another 1% hit rating there. So there are a few items we can get hit on, which is obviously fantastic. And the Pain Weaver Band from General Drakasaf in Blackrock Spire. Going on to the trinkets, we have the Blackrock Spire Upper. Only Horde, it's for the Horde quest. Improves your chance to get a critical hit again, and that's on equip. Otherwise, there's Emperor Dagran, Forazin. We have one here where you can get, again, more 2% chance on melee hit to gain extra attack and more attack power. And then for the bow, or the crossbow, it's the Black Crow, which again gives you 1% hit chance, which is really, really nice, from Shadow Hunter Vosh Jajin in Blackrock Spire Lower. Let's now go on to the BiS Gear. And again, if you would like to get these lists and see how I've put these together, etc., I put everything on my Patreon for you guys. Bloody Lionheart Helm. We all know that's a lie. So Raggy Daddy does give us our Crown of Destruction in the Molten Core, which on this orc's lovely bald head does look quite interesting, doesn't it? Oh, very lovely. On there. It does have some fire resist as well. Really, really nice on there. The Onyxia Tooth Pendant on the neck. I'll give you one guess where you get that from. True Strike Shoulders are still on the back. As well as the cape and the chest, are all the same items that were actually pre-Bis are still Bis for us. Wrist guards of Stability from a few bosses here in Molten Core. For your Bis hands, it's actually going to be Onyxia. But there is also Perdition's Blade, of course, from Raggy Daddy. with a 30% drop chance, Perdition's Blade, and also, Deathbringer from Onyxia. There's also Viscag, the Bloodletter from Onyxia as well. So there's a few good options there. The one that I said for Pre-Bis is only here on my list, according to my point makeup. So it's actually not too far down off BiS anyway. Flameguard Gauntlets on the hands. These are from a few bosses, Berian Gadar, Gar, and Golemarg the Incinerator. Onslaught Girdle on the belt from Raggy Daddy. Devilsaur leggings. You may or may know not about those. These are really, really good. If you're a level worker, these could make you a lot of money. Ding, ding, ding. Hello. From Unguro Crater. These are basically farmed. I'm not getting into like a level working tutorial, but these are basically farmed in Unguro from the elite Devilsaurs for level workers. And they are BiS for a lot of specs in Classic Phase 1, just as an FYI. Bloodmail Boots are still BiS. Quick Strike Ring. I forgot where it's from now. Molten Core. There's also Raggy Daddy again of the Band of Acuria, which is lovely. And then there's Black Hands Brett, which we've already spoken about, Rune of the Guard Captain. And there's now Striker's Mark for the bow from Magmadar there as well. And that is the BiS Gear. Lastly, let's go over buffs, consumables, and things like that. And for us warriors, there is a lot. Let's talk about buffs first, and specifically the world buffs. The Rallying Cry of the Dragon Slayer increases your critical strike chance of spells, melee, range attacks by 5% and grants 140 attack power. So this is actually done when someone brings home the good old head of Onyxia. We probably all know that one. War Chief's Blessing is when Rend Blackhand, that is his name I think, from Blackrock Spire, is handed in to Thrall. It is only for the Horde, Sod's Alliance. Increasing hit points, haste, and mana. Not that we care about the mana. Resist fire. Oh, this is a really interesting one. I don't know how many of you are going to be bothered to get this. Increases an ally's fire resistance for 83 for 1 hour. This is off a mob in... I'm going to have to look it up because I've forgotten the name of the mob. It's the Scarshield Spellbinders in Blackrock Spire. So what you need to do is have a priest actually mind control the mob and, give everyone resist fire. So it is a bit of an interesting way to get that, but it is really, really good. Songflower Seeds, you need to cleanse, what's it called? You need to complete the quest, Cleansing Felwood, and after you've done that, you can then actually get repeatable quests that grant you Cenarian Plant Salve. If you use those plant salves on a corrupted Songflower in Felwood and loot the cleansed plant, you will get the Songflower Serenade buff. Again, a bit lengthy, but it is worth it if you could be bothered. And have I said the fourth one? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, we're all done. Okay, scrolls, if you can afford them, on the auction house, Scroll of Agility 4 and Strength shouldn't be too expensive. Flasks, if you can afford it, Flask of the Titans, it is probably going to be extortionately expensive, increasing your player's maximum health by 1200 for 2 hours. The Mighty Rage Potion, only for warriors, increases rage by NAN and increases strength by 60 for 20 seconds, which is obviously a lot. For your food, you're going to use a Blessed Sunfruit, increasing your strength by 10 for 10 minutes. Dense Sharpening Stones on your weapons, increasing weapon damage by 8 for 30 minutes. You could do that on both weapons, and then some Roids as well, which increase strength by 25 when consumed, and that will last for a whole hour. For the Roids, it's in the Blasted Lands, and this is another repeatable quest as well. The main enchants you're going to be looking at is your back, chest, wrists, hands, feet, and weapon. On your back, it's agility. On your chest, it's greater stats. You could put strength on your hands and wrists. And then you could put speed on your feet and Crusader on your weapon. And there we go, guys. That is everything you need to know to play a Warrior DPS in Phase 1 of the Anniversary Realms on WoW Classic for Phase 1. Don't forget to subscribe. If you would like to get Zygor as well, or need any info, etc. about it, you could join the Discord. We're really friendly there. Always happy to help and answer questions about WoW or any other games. And if you would like to get my character setups here to follow along with, you can get these on my Patreon. Again, linked in the description, and massively help support the channel. Do check out the playlist on screen, as I am doing every spec, as always.